yesterday. The Steelers chickens have come home to roost. They have. They're here. I mean, yeah, it's a Steelers perfect storm for them offensively. The quarterback's over the hill and can't play anymore. They didn't invest enough in their offensive line. They've got mid-round rookie draft picks out there. A guard that they signed off the street in June who's got the biggest love handles I've ever seen from a guard. Trey Turner looks like a guy that they pulled out of like a, they have like movies about football and there's always like a fat offensive lineman who just gets put on a line. Like a lovable,
He's
not an
usually
athlete.
A gentle giant who never uses his power for good.
Get the guy a bigger jersey at least. He's bursting at the seams. He should do a cool sculpting muffin top.
Maybe
commercial.
he didn't actually spit at a Raiders player. Maybe it just got squeezed out of him.
The line is just in tatters, but they knew that the line was going to be in rough shape when they decided to bring Ben back on the pay cut. And they've got unproven assistant coaches who you had to take a massive leap of faith to think that two guys who had never done it before at the NFL level, the offensive line coach and the coordinator Canada, were going to come in here and solve all the Steelers' problems. You add all that up, and this is what they are. They are, if not the worst offense in the NFL, they are only beaten out by teams like, I don't know, the Jets and the Jaguars, who have rookie quarterbacks and actually have a future with them to look forward to. These aren't growing pains. You're not growing. You're old. You're old at the most important position. Your quarterback looks washed up.
I was told this was a 10-7, 11-6, 12-5 team. Not by fans, but by people who cover the team. I don't know what happened. This is stunning to me. All anyone said to me was that they were going to be damn good. Not only is Ben not washed up, he might be better year 2 after elbow surgery. Offensive line's unproven. They're green. They're young, but they're athletic. That's what I was led to believe. Or it's just all people talking out of their asses because they want the Steelers to be good instead of actually, evaluating what they're seeing in front of them.
Their analysis was based on hope with them.
My analysis is based on what my eyes actually tell me, which is why I've been beating this drum since last year when they were 11-0.
And they look the same.
They look worse. Because at least Ben trusted the guys that were snapping him the football and blocking for him. He doesn't trust these guys, and he has no reason to because they're a sieve. He looks washed as hell, and even as I say that, and wish he would retire on the spot, leave his cleats on the field like a wrestler.
He has Steelers pride. He's not going to do that. He's going to
the Steelers
tell
would
them
never.
about the
The Steelers would never quit. We know that much. They wouldn't quit like dogs, like they basically did. Tyler Boyd got one thing wrong. He suggested they quit very late in that game. They quit well before the game ended. There were several minutes. Their coach quit. My God, we were all out of bullets, guys. We just didn't have a play call. They had the picket fence along the goal line, so he said, hey, Najee, you've taken about 17 kill shots from Von Bell today. What's a few more? Let's get some blockers out there and let you run it in.
It just feels like its worst fears realized.
Hold on. You've listened to Ben Roethlisberger more than any of us. You've talked to him more than any of us other than maybe Jeff or Jim. But
among the three, yes. Kale, I don't think has talked to him as much as he's talked to his famous uncle.
You've done long-form interviews with him. You know his tone when he's pissed but not worried, correct? Like when he thinks things can and will get better, but in that moment he's mad. He's frustrated. He wants him to send a message. That wasn't that yesterday after the game.
He didn't sound angry to me.
He sounds beaten. He sounds resigned. He sounds completely resigned to both his own mortality as a football player and the limitations that the roster in front of him have placed on him.
He did not play the "it's early, I expected" growing pains.
He just said, I wish we were better. He sounded like he had no answers. I wish we were better. We've had great weeks of practice.
You don't even practice on Wednesday, dude. I mean, you don't. I mean, maybe that's a reason why every opening drive, when it's at home, it ends in a chorus of boos. They never set a good early tone in games.
10 games.
Never ever. Maybe there is a correlation between that and him never practicing early in the week.
The Steelers have not scored an offensive point in the first quarter in 10 games. They had not scored since December 2nd last year, which is a Joe Hayden pick six. The scripted stuff you do at the beginning of a game. That's why Andy Reid's one of the many reasons he's famous. Other great play callers, Sean Payton, guys who are regarded as offensive gurus, all do this.
But he's 1-2 right now, Chris. I've been reminded that by Steelers fans.
Andy
There
Reid?
are other teams right now.
Do you think Vegas is smart, generally?
Yes.
Guess who's still the Super Bowl favorite?
They are
in Vegas.
That's
the Chiefs.
interesting. Okay.
They have problems, and Mahomes can't get away with blindly shovel
No, but I'm
passing
just being
the ball.
reminded of things like that. I've also been told
Steelers fans are coping so hard
not all
right now
of them,
on social
but I've also
media.
been
A lot of cope.
I've also been told by more than one that the Ravens should be 0-3 right now.
Shouldas, couldas, and wouldas. Their kicker doesn't miss. That also, like a Boswell miss yesterday is another thing that you don't care about as much.
Chris,
when you
it's
have
a
better quarterback.
soul-searching loss. When you get beat by double digits to the Bengals, the team that's projected to finish in last place, yes, they might eventually get over the hump as the quarterback matures and gets better, but is far from a finished product. When that team comes in here and strips you of your dignity, it should, and they did not, to be clear, they really did not have an eye-opening loss, at least internally, when they got beat by the Browns. The center retired on his own. The offensive coordinator's contract ran out. I mean, they didn't really they made changes, but Chris, they did nothing.
They didn't make changes.
But do you know what I mean? They did nothing from the Steelers led on that they were furious with how last year went.
Well,
the owner came out and said we were 11-0 and won the AFC North. Get off our back is pretty much what he said. So why would they? What's the insanity thing that is so stupid that I hear all the time? I mean, that's what they are. They're really the same team as last year. Their quarterback doesn't want to get hit. He is, which is making it even worse. I think his confidence is shot. Don't you see that? Does he look like a guy who believes in himself right now? I see happy feet. I see jittery. I see him fade away like he's Kobe Bryant on throws when there's not even a pass rush because he just assumes there's going to be one. I think it's in his head. How do you get it out of there at 39? How do you convince him to stand in, step up, and make throws? How do you expect him to move around like Brady does? That's another one. Well, he's got a stricter diet than Brady. He does?
Didn't I debunk that with Ryan Burr when he came on, parroting Ben's Camp's talking points?
Even when Ben did that Turkey Bowl punt fake play and kept running and got a few extra yards for a first down, it's painful to even watch that. It hurts to watch him move. He looked like me in that pickup basketball game with Kale.
Where do you want me to start here? Do you want to get it all out, let all the air out of the balloon? Because I'll let you keep going. I'll go grab a coffee.
Should he be benched?
Yeah, for his own safety. And seriously, people here want to see what Mason Rudolph can do.
Should he be benched based on performance?
Yeah, he sucks. It's hard to evaluate the degree to which he sucks because the line ahead of him is so bad, but he absolutely sucks. If you're a Steelers fan and you're on Twitter and you're telling people he doesn't suck, I've got news. You're wrong, and you're coping because you don't want to admit that it's the end. Neither do the Steelers, which means maybe you should apply for a position in their front office. They went cheap on every offseason hire. Adrian Clem had nothing in his background to suggest he deserved a promotion. You said it about Fichtner. They let his contract expire because they're too damn cheap to fire coaches in almost every situation. They don't hire big names outside the organization.
They have in the past, but
they
don't
anymore.
Recently.
I think that's directly attributable to A, the owner, and B, the head coach, who I think likes to surround himself with people who aren't as good as him to make himself look better, although he looks like crap
They've
right
made
now.
two big offensive hires, and really, if you think about it, in the past, I'm saying, and they were honestly, they came from the outside, but not really. Haley's dad is iconic within the Steelers organization for helping build the 70 Steelers. So even though he'd never worked for the team other than being a ball boy, he had a connection to the Steelers. He grew up here. And then Munchak's the same thing. He's a Penn State guy. I mean,
they do have continuity, though. And they do have only 3 head coaches since Chuck Noll.
Well, that's the thing that also pisses me off.
And they did win the division last year and start 11-0.
And I never put stock in it. The whole premise that because Ben and Tomlin have never had a losing year together, that it's impossible for it to happen. That was one of the tropes and maxims that got spouted out, not just by fans, but by everybody. It's never happened, therefore it never will happen. It's impossible. It can't happen even if their offensive line stinks and the quarterback is done. He should have read the tea leaves, or they should have read them for him. When they made the decision, we're going to hire Matt Canada, who wants to run an offense that does not, it's square peg round hole, and when your center retired, at that point, it was over for you. We'll take the cap hit. We won't have a great quarterback for this year. We'll try to do it with bubble gum and, tape.
Chicken wire.
Chicken wire, thank you. I forgot about, what is chicken wire?
It's wire you use to keep chickens in.
Is it barbed?
No, it's like thin wire that I don't think it's barbed per se.
It's only for chickens?
When you see the wire that doesn't have the sharp edges, but it's like tied together, that's chicken wire. Barbed wire has actual like razor edge. Chicken wire is just, you don't want to get caught in chicken wire, don't get me wrong, but it's not going to cut you up like barbed wire will.
But you ever been to a party or a bar and you walk in and you're like, man, I'm too old for this. I don't fit in at all right now. This was my vibe and this was me 20 years ago.
Yes.
I don't fit in here anymore. We got to leave. That's how it's kind of is with
Ben. The quarterback
Ben.
wanted to keep making money, I'll say that much.
Not making as much, though, and he'll be the first person to tell you about that, too.
The quarterback wanted to keep making money. You want to give me like a major sin on his part here besides it's not like his fault he's washed up. I mean, he just is. He wanted to keep making money. I think.
And the Steelers didn't have the balls to tell him no.
No, they never do because Art doesn't.
Well, they've had the balls to say goodbye to other iconic players. They cut David DeCastro. They didn't even give him a watch and a kick in the ass.
Yeah, Mike Tomlin
they said you're released.
Mike Tomlin left a, what would they say in Dumb and Dumber, a John Deere letter on Troy Polamalu's voicemail. But you know why they're too afraid to say goodbye to Ben? Because they buy their own BS that they were in somehow like football's desert between Bradshaw and Roethlisberger, despite, of all people, Paul Zeiss correctly pointing out that they were hugely successful for like a 10 or 12-year span.
I think they're also scared. I think change, we know for the Steelers, moves at a glacial pace. And I think...
Dude, the league is not moving at a glacier's pace. Look at the Browns and Ravens and how they just... I saw Batko did this unbelievable story that, frankly, I had to scroll forever on the Post-Gazette's website to find about their analytics department and how they had hired somebody. But now, seemingly, it's like very nebulous how much they do. The other two teams that are clearly past them, and the Bengals are in the rearview mirror, if not passing in the moment.
Of course, you lose by two touchdowns to them at home. You are getting passed by them.
Hey, I was the only one that had the guts to actually say that they were going to lose the game because I had a bad feeling exactly the way it played out was going to be how it went, and it did. The Steelers are doing everything backwards. They are, I have said this a million times, their own past successes, the fact that they get drunk on those still is their biggest weakness. It is absolutely killing them.
Yep.
They have nothing to show for all of this loyalty to Roethlisberger and loyalty to their own principles and precepts, and they're going to be way behind the eight ball trying to rebuild this damn thing.
Well, that's why I wanted them to move on, and I didn't want next year, if you stick with Ben, I didn't want 2022 to basically be Pittsburgh Steelers, buy your season tickets now. It's Mason's shot. Like, I did not want that to be the mantra or credo for next year. Like, we're finally going to see this guy. It's his last chance.
Why you can bench Ben Roethlisberger right now and get as much out of this as you want to with Mason Rudolph.
And you know how much a non-believer, and I don't think that he is any good, Mason Rudolph, that is.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think you're doing right by him.
Put him in behind this line?
No, I don't care about that. I think if you sat him down right now and said, hey Mason, it's your show, kid. Go get Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay this week.
Okay, then how about this? You let Ben Roethlisberger play the next 3 games, 2 of which are against a huge, big-name quarterbacks, and 1 is against maybe the best defense in the NFL outside of the Rams right now.
Yep.
They're going to go 0-3, overwhelmingly likely. In fact, can you put in like long-range? I guess like a long-range parlay. I might just parlay them to lose all 3 games. Then you get your bye week, and you got Cleveland, right? Let Mason Rudolph start after the bye week. You're going to be 1-5.
I don't want his first game as the starter and it being his job in Cleveland. I don't.
My God, I don't care about the helmet thing with Garrett anymore. If he's a big boy, let him play.
Well, yeah, I'm saying.
So wait, what, are you going to wait till he gets to Chicago at home or Detroit?
No, I would basically, in my opinion, Roethlisberger has 2 games. He's got Green Bay and he's got that great Denver defense. And if he can't show any signs of life in those 2 games, Mason Rudolph's first start will be on a Sunday night against Seattle, which is a soft landing spot because the Seahawks' pass defense is atrocious. You give him that game. Not really,
though, because he's going to have to score 35 points against Russell Wilson probably.
Okay, but at least he can do his part. At least you can get a fair evaluation on him. Then he has a bye week to get ready for the trip back to Cleveland when he got bonked on his own head with his own helmet. And then you go from there.
Can you just pause for a second and take that little step back here? We do a sports radio show here that ostensibly believe the Steelers might at least be interesting this year. I said 7-10, then I tried to waffle.
I said 8-9.
But I'm right back to 7-10 and worse now. We are after 3 games talking about how many more games you let Ben Roethlisberger even play.
But that's another thing That's another thing we talked about for months in between the Browns disaster and now. I said if you bring him back and he looks like he did in the last 4 or 5 games of 2020, and it's a continuation of that in 2021, it is not going to take long for people to say, get him out of there. They courted that. They put themselves in this jackpot with him.
I just don't know how they thought this was going to go differently. Like, I would love to sit down and ask Art Rooney and Kevin Colbert and Mike Tomlin and say, do you really in your heart of hearts believe some of this stuff?
I'll count the reasons or ways they thought that. An extra year will make Ben's elbow a bionic elbow, and he'll be throwing better than he ever has before. It was last year's line, out with the old, in with the new. Yeah, these guys weren't top picks and they've never played before, but they can't be any worse than last year's line. Next point, the running back will basically be Walter Payton, Jim Brown, and Barry Sanders all wrapped up in one, and he will be their salvation, and he will create invisible yards and make everybody else better. It was Randy Fichtner's fault. It was his idea to only throw little screens and get the ball out in 2 seconds. He was the guy that had no creativity and had no idea what the hell he was doing. These are all the things that people said about the Steelers' offense that were magically overnight in one offseason. Here comes Tinkerbell. Poof, it's all better. Now, you and me didn't believe in the BS, but people don't like inconvenient truths. They don't like hard truths. And I have to give you credit. People get mad at you because they think it's negativity. It's honesty. You, even more than me, although I was on the bus with you, you were very realistic about the Steelers in 2021.
Oh, I was Sandra Bullock driving the damn bus.
And what's that make me? Keanu Reeves?
Yeah, you get to be Keanu here.
And what's that make Craig? What's that guy's name? Hopkins? Dennett?
Yeah, Craig's head's going to end up rolling at the end of this season.
How about Craig, of all people, came in here today and said, even I, a guy that named my son after Roethlisberger, I'm done with him.
I know. Well, it's obvious. You know, how much money do you think I could make if I said to the Steelers, I'd like to apply for a job, a position that I'd like to create within your organization, and here it is. You hire me. I listen to what your head coach, GM, and owners say behind the scenes about how much they believe in their team. And then like in the movies where somebody has to slap some sense into somebody and they go, thank you. Thank you. I don't know where my head was at.
Chris Muller, football consultant.
Football common sense consultant. And I give them a verbal slap across the face and say, get your heads out of your rear ends. This isn't going to go the way you think.
412-928-9370. We know we have Steelers fans champing at the bit. If the scene inside of Heinz Field reflects the way the entire fan base feels, everybody is pissed off right now. That is the most I have ever seen or heard the Steelers booed at home before. It started right from the beginning when the first offensive drive stalled, and it never let up. Other than people chanting Muth. Or is it Muth?
No, it's definitely Muth because they Muth. Muth.
He is one of my lone bright spots on this team. And another thing I got right.
By the way, hold on. You want to know something I got right? The all-time prediction here? 5 to 10 offensive snaps for Derek Watt, baby.
How about the first time he
Let's go.
How about the first time he caught the ball? He got hit so hard it like pushed him forward for 5 yards.
I know. I am happier about getting that prediction right than pretty much anything else. I'm not happy about this. Look, what am I wearing today for the viewers on screen? I'm showing some damn support.
You're from the North Hills.
I got the height the
graduated
cycloids
from
on.
North Catholic. You love the Steelers. 412-928-9370. We'll take calls all show. That's What's on Tap, brought to you by our good friends over at Mike's Beer Bar, Pittsburgh's premier craft beer destination. Aditi at 4. Jeff Hathorn was at the stadium yesterday. He'll join us. But a lot of chances for you just to vent and get whatever is on your mind off your chest here. You want to rebuttal us. You want to give us a retort. You want to pile on. You want to bring up something that we haven't touched on yet. It's all yours. 412-928-9370. Cal's producing. He'll be the first person you talk to when you buzz in. It's the PM team on the Fan.